Hey everyone, welcome to the Trendline Investor channel. In this video, we're going to look at how to buy IPO stocks, especially after a stock has fallen a lot. IPO stocks tend to fall a lot because of the high valuations, but how do you buy, or what is that entry point that you have to look at when you can actually take a buy in a stock? So I'm going to discuss two different setups today. One is a breakout setup and also one is a reversal setup, which is not yet broken out. Okay, so these two will be interesting, and I'm going to cover 6 stocks in this video to show you various examples of how you can buy stocks which are setting up currently in this environment, which has been really good for the last couple of weeks. Okay, so let's get started. The first stock we're going to look at today is RateGain, which was recently listed in 2021 of December or Jan. And since then, the stock has been in a strong consolidation mode. The stock didn't really go down. The stock has been consolidating. And if you see here, it's just been going sideways. Now, whenever IPO stock is listed, do not buy the stock on listing day or unless the stock forms a nice base. Now, by base, I mean that the stock has to at least go sideways at least for a few weeks before you tend to buy or before you want to buy that stock. Now, in this case, RateGain actually has been going, it went up initially and then it went down and then again up, down, up, down, up, down, and now it is again going higher. Now, if you look at this overall structure, so this structure is an uptrend, right, which has started now again in the month of Jan 2023, right? Since the last 3 months, now this stock is probably now trying to make an higher high, higher low structure and it's probably trying to head higher. So also if you note, I plotted the pivot points here because using just the single pivot point indicator, you can identify stocks entering a long-term uptrend. Now in this case, after 1 year, the stock actually, the pivots here for the stock has been going down. If you see, we had 525, 418, 343 and 308. It's been trending lower. And now for the first time, this has made a higher pivot, which is 387.4. Now, if you want to use the pivots indicator in TradingView, you type pivot points, higher highs and lows, or just type pivot points, you'll find the inbuilt indicator and change settings to 5555. Okay, now in case you can't find this, do ping me on Twitter or just let me know in the comments and I can help you. So now here, once the stock makes a higher high, at that point is when it crosses the previous high, that point is when the stock is entering a long-term uptrend. Now, until then, you should not really buy any IPO stocks. Now, it's very dangerous to buy an IPO stock because the market is still trying to assess the valuation for this company. And if you buy this on the listing day or something like this, you have stocks like Paytm, Nykaa, which has really crashed 60-70% in the last since listing, right? So you do not really buy, but you wait for a base formation. By base, you can identify the bases using this pivot point indicator here, right? And then you try to buy this. The first best point to buy the stock here is at this point when it crosses 308.4. Now the second best point is obviously on retest. So we had a breakout and now we had a complete retest, which is this zone. And I think now this stock is probably going to head higher from here. So what you can do is also observe the relative strength and CCI just to get a double confirmation. The relative strength has been actually pretty good, which means the stock has been outperforming the overall markets since the last few months or few weeks or so. Since Jan, the stock has been outperforming the overall markets and is looking really good. So that's the first stock for today. So you can buy the stock at current market price, which is 358. Keep a stop loss of 13%. Now, IPO stocks tend to be volatile, so your stops might be a little deep. So try to find your best stop losses using different time frames. But here in this case, you're going to keep a stop loss of 13%. And we're going to look at targets of 475, which is around 33% from the current levels. Also, this is 2.5 times the risk that we're taking. Okay, so that's the first stock. Now, let's move on to the other 5 stocks. The second stock for today is Policy Bazaar. Now, I already posted this and covered this in one of my YouTube videos a few weeks back, especially when we had this breakout over here. But since we're covering IPO stocks, I thought I'll cover this as well. Now, again, simple indicator, pivots high-low. You're going to use that and you're going to plot it. And you will see that's a beautiful downtrend here. 825, 597, 500, and then the price crossed the previous pivot. The rule is the price has to cross the previous pivot, right, which is 500.7. Also, if you look at this pivot lows, it is 618, 540, 454. So as and when the pivots keep going down, which means the stock is a downtrend, and once price crosses the previous pivot, which means stock is entering an uptrend. Now in this case, again, we had a CCI breakout here. Relative strength is above the 52-week moving average here. It's kind of going above and below. So overall, it's fine because the stock has been showing strength for the last few weeks. We had a higher high, a breakout for the first time, and now the stock is going sideways. So overall, again, we've had some amazing volumes here right at the bottom of this move here. And since then, the volumes have been above average, right? Now that kind of looks to me like an accumulation rather than a distribution, because the volumes have been completely low. But since this move here, the volumes have been way above average, and I think this stock is probably heading higher from the current levels. So you can buy the stock at 584 current market price. Stop loss of just 10% or 11% here. I'm going to look at targets of 850, which is this zone over here, right? Now, this stock can eventually head higher as well. So you can ride the trend on the weekly charts using the pivot low indicator, the indicator that I mentioned here. Unless the price doesn't go below the previous pivot low, you can continue holding the stock. And we're going to look at targets of 850, which is 4 times the risk that we're taking. So that's the second stock. The third stock today is Rainbow Children's. Now, before this, if you do like the analysis of my first IPO stocks, and if you did get some learning, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends. Okay, so let's look at Rainbow Children's. Now, this is also a very good company. In fact, this company, so the previous two stocks that we saw, there was a strong downtrend, but here the stock has been in a significant uptrend since listing. Now, the first buy point for Rainbow Children's would have been around this point when we had a 3 months breakout. Now, that's what I call a very strong IPO base. Now, IPO base usually has to be at least a minimum 3 to 5 weeks of consolidation, but here we had almost 3 months consolidation, and then we had a strong breakout, and we had a strong move up, and then now we're just going sideways. Now, overall, this for me doesn't look like a distribution yet. I think the stock has been doing pretty strong in spite of the weak markets, and this stock might enter again into a long-term uptrend when we break out above this zone. So you can buy this, preempting that breakout, you can buy this stock now at current market price of 760. Stop loss here is just 9%. Now this is a tight base, right? So the stock has been just going in a very tight range here. So that's why the stop loss is pretty low. And we're going to look at targets of 1000. Don't be over optimistic here because the stock has already moved up from almost 400 levels to almost 760. So might not give you really great returns, but if you get 1000, it is 3.5 times the risk that you're taking here. So that's the third stock. The last two stocks for today, one is Latent Analytics. I know this is a very good company fundamentally. Now, all these companies are decent companies, not great companies. Like Latent is a decent company. Rainbow Children's is a decent company. So here in this case of Latent, again, I plotted this pivot, and if this pivot has been going nicely lower, right? 546, 421, 407, and now 391. Now this is the 391 point, and now we had this triple bottom. Now this is very, very important. Now here the stock hasn't broken out yet like in the first three cases. The stock is still in a downtrend, but I'm preempting the breakout here because of two reasons. The first reason is the stock actually has reversed from the same zone around 3 times, right? So first time was around this point, the second time was here, and now again we reversed from the same zone. And if you see, there have been strong wicks around the lows, right? By wicks, I mean the price went down, but it went and closed higher. The price went down, but it went and closed higher. Again, the price went down and it closed higher. That's the first reason. Triple bottom, wicks around the major support zone. The second reason is we've had a bullish candle here. Last 2 weeks, we had strong bullish candles. Now, this could be because of the market bullishness as well. So you might want to be careful a bit. So that's why you should take a very small position here because RS relative strength is still not performing, and also CCI is still not bullish. The CCI will turn bullish when we have a breakout above the zone. So for that reason, you take a smaller position to start off, and then you add when you have a breakout above this point, right? Or if it comes back to the zone, I can add more as well. So that's the reason why I'm discussing Latent today from IPO space. You can buy at current market price with a stop loss of 15.5%. Yes, that's pretty deep over there. But if it comes lower, then you can buy more and reduce the stop loss as well. We're going to look at targets of 550, which is around this zone over there, that highs over there here. And I think if we cross that, we can even head higher. Now, all these stocks might go into a long-term uptrend as well if the company does well fundamentally. Okay, so we are going to look at targets of 550, which is 50%, which brings us to a risk reward of 3.2 times risk we're taking. The last stock for today is Glenmark Life Sciences, a brilliant company from the Glenmark group. And again, here I'm going to talk about the 1, 2, 3 change method that I spoke in one of the videos, I think 2 weeks back. Right now here, again, the stock hasn't broken out yet. The stock is still in a long-term downtrend, but I am preempting the breakout because of two reasons. First reason is the stock has been in a downtrend. Again, the pivot points, if you see the pivot points, it has been going lower and lower. Here also it's going lower and lower, but now we formed a higher low. Now that's the first rule here, the 1, 2, 3 change. The first thing I'm looking at is the stock had a breakout. We had a one touch point here, and then the stock dipped, but it did not go below the previous pivot low. And now if we have a breakout above this point, the stock is now changing a changing the trend and it's heading into a uptrend from here. So that's the first point. First thing I'm looking at here, the 1, 2, 3 trend change. The second thing is the stock has reversed twice from the same level, and CCI is now entering into the positive territory, right? So until now, the CCI has been a negative territory, and now we are entering into a positive territory, which is 34.85. So overall, since CCI is now showing some bullish signs, CCI already had a breakout here. I think we might head higher if the markets do well, and if these candles here are showing demand, and if demand is really strong, and if you break out of this, above this zone over here, then we are going to enter into long-term uptrend. So you can buy the stock at 417 current market price. Keep a stop loss of 11%, which is 370 levels, and you look at targets of 600 or 44%, which is around this zone over here, right? So as I said, all these stocks can head into a long-term trend and break the previous all-time highs, but be careful and ride the trend if you want to, and invest only 5% of your portfolio in the stocks and add more as and when it goes higher. So I'm sure you like this analysis of my IPO stocks, and I'm going to make a separate video to discuss further and tell you some characteristics of IPO stocks and how you should, how you should buy them and how you should trade them. Okay, so I'm sure excited for that as well. Do let me know in the comments if you have learned something from me about how to trade or buy IPO stocks. Okay, I'm going to leave you here. Take care, stay safe, trade safe. Until I see you in the video. Bye bye.